Hey, good afternoon from Asia. Good morning in the Europe, and good night in the USA. Welcome to VidCon Now Asia. My name is Jasper Donat. I'm in Singapore, and as you probably know, the Asian edition of VidCon Now is a bi-weekly look at all things around the online media and entertainment space, including platforms, communities, and the creators themselves. And this week, we're in for a bit of a treat, ladies and gentlemen, with one of the world's best known and loved creators, Wengie. Welcome to Wengie, welcome to WRAYA, welcome to KittyCornWengie, all in one person, the one and only Wendy H. Hey, Wendy, how are you?
Hey, Jasper. I'm good. It's great to finally talk to you again, and I'm excited to be on VidCon. And hi, everyone around the world. Today, we're gonna talk about my multiple personalities, I guess.
We are indeed. Now, but before we get there, Wendy, I want to talk to Wendy H. Before we talk about Wengie or WRAYA or KittyCornWengie or anyone else, who is Wendy H? And where are you in the world right now?
Yeah, so Wendy H is the CEO and the girl boss of all the other Wengies. She kind of bosses them around. But also, just on a serious note, Wendy H is the person behind the scenes, coming up with all the creative, figuring out all the strategies on how to roll out multiple brands at once. And right now, I'm also in Singapore.
So you are the CEO of the Wengie empire, if we were to call it that.
That's right. That's right. So I guess a lot of people don't get to see the CEO behind the scenes because of the type of content I make. It's very lighthearted. It's very fun. So there isn't a lot of opportunities to talk about what goes on behind the scenes. So I guess today's interview is going to be one of those. And I can't wait to share all the things that went on behind this whole strategy of having multiple brands and multiple channels.
So yeah, I mean, the last time we saw you at VidCon was in December last year. It was on VidCon Now online, the festival, and you had three personas. There was Wengie the influencer, Wengie the musician, and Wengie the gamer. Now tell us what's happened since then.
So what's happened since then is we've added a new persona. Her name is WRAYA, and that is now my new artist name. So prior to this, I released all my music in my music project under Wengie Music, which is a completely separate channel to Wengie, the main channel, the lifestyle channel, and also KittyCornWengie, which is the gaming channel. As you can see from what I'm wearing today, I'm kind of gamer on the top, business on the bottom. This is kind of the same vibe that we have. The reason why I decided to launch WRAYA as a project is when I started my music project about 2 years ago now, I knew that the audience was going to be a little bit different from the main Wengie audience, also the gaming audience. But at the time, I guess I didn't want to take the risk and do a full rebrand. Although it had been on my mind from the very beginning, when I spoke to my team, we decided it was not the best idea and we should use the main Wengie brand to leverage off for at least, the beginning of my music while I'm establishing myself. 2 years in, we've achieved a lot in music, including a Billboard placement at 22. We've been on the radio, a top 20 in the Philippines. We've done all that under Wengie Music. And I felt like it was time to now really launch the music project as its own beast. And so we launched it under WRAYA. And the reason for that is I wanted people to approach the brand with a fresh perspective and not to be kind of not have the preconceptions of the original Wengie brand, because the type of music and the type of topics we want to touch on are going to be more mature, more adult, and more real. And I think there is a large majority of my audience that I've gained. I've been on YouTube for about 8 years. So there is a large majority of my audience that have grown up that no longer identify with the Wengie brand anymore. And I think we all understand from our childhoods, some personas need to be kept, as our childhood. And I completely respect that. that's the same for myself. There are phases I went through as a kid that, you know, you don't want to go through again as an adult. So I thought definitely for the music project, it was very important to rebrand into WRAYA, come out with a whole new fresh perspective, have everyone understand this is a completely new person, new direction, and we're going to be doing things on WRAYA that you will never ever see being done on Wengie. So knowing that my audience is quite young on the Wengie channel at times, like there is a huge general audience range, and Wengie is quite a general channel. It has topics from how to buy wedding dresses to, you know, I guess playing with slime at one point. So there is a large range of audience on Wengie, and knowing that I didn't want to, I guess, shock my younger audience, knowing I have the responsibility of making sure that they understand what's going on, and that WRAYA may not be a brand that they will identify with. And if that's the case, you know, Wengie is the brand that they should stick with. So WRAYA is just a whole new perspective, a whole new direction, a whole new persona, whole new brand, but still has the core and essence of what I love, which is inspirational and fun and real content.
That's amazing, and congratulations on the launch and all the thinking that went into it as well. Before we meet WRAYA, we're going to meet Wengie, the influencer. But before we do that, I forgot to mention at the top, for anyone who's watching this afternoon, please do, if you've got any questions for Wendy, please ask them in the comment section, and we will they will get to me by magic and electronic magic, and hopefully I'll be able to ask as many questions as I can. So please do get them in for Wendy this afternoon. So look, let's before we meet WRAYA the musician, let's just remind ourselves who Wengie the influencer is with a very short video. If we can just see the first Wengie video, please.
Okay, here we go. Hey guys, what's up? It's Wengie, and you guys can't do without the squeaky chair hug. We know the drill. We are exposing TikTok hacks. Are they real? Are they fake? Are we getting trolled today? We'll see. Let's go. Squeaky chair. How to fit that glass perfectly. Okay, tape one side with sticky tape. This is with the plastic still on.
We made a little glass door.
So that's Wengie the influencer, and still Wengie the influencer is still very much alive and well. I mean, you got, is it like 20 million followers?
Across socials, on YouTube itself, it's 14 million.
Okay, well, 14 million still a lot. And who's Wengie's target market? Where are your target audience in the world?
Yeah, so Wengie's target audience is very global. The majority is from the US. The next is actually India, and then it's Canada, UK, Australia. So a bit of a shift from Wengie about 3 years ago. It was basically US, Canada, UK, Australia, but India has climbed up to the second spot recently. So it may have something to do with the growing Indian audience from YouTube, or perhaps the fact that I made a song in Hindi. And yeah, I think that's great to have such a global presence, and that I'm able to touch people from all around the world. And just with the whole social thing, I just want to mention that I've switched my Wengie Instagram into WRAYA, and I've also switched my TikTok into WRAYA. So WRAYA has taken over some of Wengie's socials.
Fantastic. Well, we're going to meet WRAYA now. So we've seen Wengie now. We're going to come back and talk about all the three personas, but let's meet each one first. And again, if you're out there in World Wide Web land, please do get your questions in. But let's look at WRAYA. I think this was the introduction to WRAYA video.
I haven't watched you for years. I want the old Wengie back. Why did you change? The other me, my alter ego. Who is she? She's me. She is WRAYA.
Baby, I ain't bitter.
Yeah, so I think we can see immediately that WRAYA is extremely different to Wengie. Where did the name WRAYA come from?
WRAYA is basically a huge brainstorm between myself, my music team, my digital team, and my creative director. So we thought it'd take a short time to come up with a new artist name, but it actually took a long time because there's also issues such as trademarking as well. And as of now, there are so many artist names that have already been taken. So we had to come up with something that was unique that wasn't taken already. We had a name that we really loved before WRAYA. It was actually Wren, as in the songbird, but it was already taken by another artist that was spelled Wren with a triple N. So we knew we couldn't trademark that, so we couldn't go ahead with that branding. So WRAYA was just a culmination of a bunch of brainstorming, and we ended up picking WRAYA because as soon as I read out the name, it just sounded right. It sounded like me. We also wanted to start with a W as well, so it wasn't too different between the other brands. It was kind of similar. People could see why I'm called WRAYA. But yeah, WRAYA just felt like the name that I was supposed to have, but I didn't. So it is an intuition thing.
WRAYA is independent, right? You're not part of a record label or...
That's right. I'm not part of a record label. Wengie is though, but WRAYA isn't. We're completely independent, which is great. I love the freedom and creativity.
And who same question about Wengie, about target markets. Who is WRAYA's target market?
So WRAYA's target market is a little bit older, so anything from teen plus. I do want to talk about topics that myself as a person go through personally, which is, I'm in my mid-30s, so a little bit older kind of topics, life experiences that I've been through. So I want to get really personal with the WRAYA branding, and I hope that the target market will feel that. So it's not so much younger, it's more leaning towards the 20s, I feel. Teen to 20s is the target market.
And we certainly saw that just from a 25-second video. It's a very, very different environment from the Wengie, the more traditional Hey Guys approach of influencer. Now again, we're gonna talk more about those, but we still need to meet your third persona, and this is KittyCornWengie, the gamer. So let's have a look at how completely different this is to your other two.
There's another one back here!
Oh,
it's after me!
Oh, there's one in front of us!
Oh, look at that! Hey guys, what's up? It's Wengie. Welcome back to KittyCorn. Today we are gonna be playing School Story, guys. Another story game. We love these. And guys, if you aren't part of the KittyCorn squad, go down below, click subscribe, turn on notifications, and also smash that like button for me. Let's jump into the game.
They are the headphones. That's the headset that was that's KittyCornWengie. Tell us a little bit more about KittyCornWengie and who is she, the game she's playing. Where do we find KittyCornWengie?
So KittyCornWengie is found on the channel KittyCornWengie. I'm playing Roblox. That is basically a request for a lot of my audience. They're like, Wengie, please play Roblox. And I definitely have a large audience that do watch Roblox content. And as I was playing Roblox, it's really fun. They're really into roleplay. So it's basically creating a whole new world and a story using the game, which was basically a blast from the past. I used to love doing that, and I love creating stories and telling stories, obviously. So KittyCornWengie was a super fun project. We did daily gaming content for quite a while, and recently we launched our very own Roblox game as well. It's in beta stage. It's called Animal Island, and what we do there, it's kind of a mix between Pokemon and The Sims, where you get to build your life there and also go and hunt and collect little creatures that you find around the island, which then you basically level them up, and they go through 3 evolutions and they transform, and you just got to catch them all on the island. So KittyCornWengie is a super fun project that has its own audience. We have our own Discord group, and it's a lot more lighthearted and fun and very much a make-believe kind of outlet for me.
And who's the same question as the other two? Who is the audience? Who is the KittyCornWengie audience? Is it gaming community? Is it younger? Is it girls, boys?
It's predominantly, like all my channels, it's predominantly female. So it's around a 70-30 kind of female mix. It's definitely people that love Roblox. And there's a whole Roblox community on YouTube. And the Roblox age range is actually quite large as well. It's anywhere between 7 to 15. So we have Roblox gamers that are kind of in their teens. And there are actually Roblox games on Roblox that are more for older kids, and then we have the young kids as well. The good thing about Roblox is basically it's a platform where creators can go in and make their own games for the audience. So similarly, like YouTube, it's also a platform where creators can make all different types of videos. So on Roblox, there's all different types of games, so therefore the audience is quite wide-ranging, but on the younger side.
So you've got three very distinct personas here. You've got Wengie, we've got WRAYA, and then KittyCornWengie. Do you ever get confused?
I think, honestly, no. I don't think I would have it any other way. And this is something that I love exploring personally and also in my content, is I feel like everyone has multiple personas in, like, you know, you have a work persona where you go to work, you're someone. You have a home persona, who you are with your family, and you have maybe another persona with another social circle. And I think this is not talked enough about, you know, embracing that side. I think they're all you. There's nothing wrong with kind of being a bit different with different people, because I think that's natural. And that's a topic that I like to communicate every time I talk about multiple personalities too. And I've had a lot of feedback from audiences that follow all personas, and I think they find it fun because they're like, sometimes they do feel fun and goofy, and sometimes they do want to feel savage and a little bit more, you know, sassy. And I have channels and personas that help them explore that as well. And I think that's very healthy and very important.
Fantastic. Now, we mentioned that VidCon now talks about the creator ecosystem and you know, with creators at the heart of it, but also platforms are so important to this, and there are so many different platforms. And you've mentioned already YouTube, you've mentioned TikTok, you've mentioned Instagram. I mean, what platforms are you working with? Does each persona get a different platform, or do they cross at all? And yeah, how are you working with the various platforms?
Yeah, so as an influencer, one of the most challenging decisions we need to make is what platform we're going to be creating content on, mainly because obviously it's resource constraints. There are so many platforms, there's platforms every day, and it's very hard to be on all platforms. There is also the repurposing kind of theory where you can repurpose content, but I feel like content does the best when it's natively made for the platform. So each different channel plays in different platforms. So right now I'm working a lot with Triller as well, with Wengie. So we make unique original content on Triller you won't see on other platforms. Also on YouTube, Wengie is predominantly on YouTube. WRAYA is predominantly on YouTube and Instagram and TikTok, because that's where the music kind of ecosystem plays. KittyCorn is very much on YouTube and Roblox. So Roblox do have social elements. We have a group there, and we have a Discord group that we engage with as well. So each unique brand have their unique strong points in terms of what platforms we want to play in, and that's very much based on where the audience is.
Random question: when do you sleep? I mean, you've got a global audience, you've got three personas, you're working with multiple platforms. I mean, you must never, you don't have to answer that question, you must never sleep. So you know, with a lot of what we've seen is coming in English language, but you talked about other countries like India and the Philippines. I know you made Hindi music. Obviously one of the biggest markets in the world is in Asia, and that's China. Are you in China? Does any of your content work in China, or do you have to reversion it? Yeah, what's the China story?
So I started my career in China about, it would have been 4 years ago now, as Wengie, or my Chinese name Huang Wenjie. I have a Weibo there with over 1 million followers, and we released a few singles in China. I recorded the album. We released about 3 singles there, which went on the radio charts, and I got a Best New Artist Award in China as well. But China is a very interesting place because it's its own ecosystem almost. And seeing how media and social media has played out in China over the past 4 years has been very interesting. When I first started, it was very much focused on a celebrity culture. And the aim was to convert me from an influencer to a celebrity using various marketing and branding techniques, including music. But since then, it's been a very interesting journey in China because I feel like influencers have taken a huge, I guess, corner of the market in China. And now influencers are even more popular than a lot of celebrities, and the whole strategy has changed. So now China is really into short form content, and that's the kind of, so all my TikTok content is being repurposed for China at the moment. And yeah, they're really into short form content, which is very interesting because in the very beginning, they were really interested in my long form content, and they believed, you know, the long form content coming out of the West at that time, about 5 years ago, was much higher quality than what was coming out of China. But that has completely flipped its head. China has innovated so quickly, and the long form content that they're making there is really, really high quality. But also short form content has just taken off. I think the general public just love consuming short form content. And so now a lot of new projects and platforms that I've been part of conversations with that I can't really talk about right now, but has been very focused into only short form. They don't even want long form content anymore, which I think is very interesting. I'm not sure if that's going to be the case in the West because I think there is still merit, and I do watch a lot of long form YouTube content still personally, but I just think that's a very interesting ecosystem in itself. So Wengie is in China, but it's just like its own little bubble, I feel. So
and when you go into other countries, like you mentioned, recording in Hindi in India, is languaging important? Is translating into local languages important to you?
Yeah, so one of the core missions in my life is to promote cultural diversity. Me, myself, being Chinese, growing up in Australia, I felt that there was definitely more room for openness and understanding of other cultures. So when I started Wengie Music, one of the projects we really focused on, and my EP is called Collabs, which is the project we released on Wengie Music. It was completely focused on bringing love to the Asian culture to everyone. Because I had a global audience, I had a really good opportunity to introduce different Asian cultures to my audience that may not understand or know. And for me, music has been one of the vehicles to cultural acceptance for me as well. I started accepting my own culture growing up by listening to Asian music, whether it is Chinese pop, Japanese pop, and K-pop. That made me feel really included in a country where I didn't look like everyone else and I didn't have the same culture as everyone else. So I use my music as a way, and that's why translating and singing the song in the local native language was really important to me. One, to learn about their language. I think it's a great challenge to be able to sing in another language, and it's just an achievement. It felt great when I was able to achieve a language standard where they could understand what I was saying. One, that was great. And two, I would fly over to the native country, whether it's Philippines. Unfortunately, I couldn't go to India. That was on the list, but the pandemic happened. So that was quite unfortunate. But I was planning to go there and really understand the local culture and be able to share that with everyone and my audience. So yeah, it was very important to me for them to hear the native language and for them to understand and accept another culture through music.
Well, hopefully when we're allowed to travel again and you do go to India, I would love to be there to see the first time you walk out in front of a live Indian audience, because they are one of the craziest, in a wonderful way, the craziest group of fans on the planet. We've had a lot of fun doing events there. Right, we have some questions from the World Wide Web, Wengie. We're going to start with Happy Island Kids. has asked the following question. Hi, Wengie. Would you have any advice for an aspiring 8-year-old YouTuber gamer who is watching your broadcast now on how to build their channel or audience?
Yep. So this is very interesting. This has been something a lot of people ask me, and my best advice is to be consistent. And I know that is something that everyone has heard 100 times, but it's very important because I think being consistent builds a lot of skills. One, when I started my YouTube journey, I treated it like a business. And that's something else I want to say is like, if you want it to turn into a business, you need to treat it like a business. You can't treat a business like a hobby and expect it to return the same rewards as a business has. And I think YouTube is one of those things where you're not just a content creator, you're an entrepreneur, because there's a lot of things behind the scenes that you need to take care of other than making videos, especially once you start getting bigger. And a lot of YouTubers like myself, we get the support of a whole team behind us as well at this stage. But in the beginning, the most important thing to do is to find a content piece that really speaks to you, that you can make hundreds and hundreds of videos on without getting sick of, that you can constantly show up for and not be deterred even though 5 people watch your videos. On top of making consistent videos, it's very important to get involved with your community, which means commenting and talking to other creators in the same space. You can start off with creators around the same size as you and form a group and work together. I think that's really important because YouTube can be so lonely. It's always great to have a group of people to motivate you and keep each other in check. Even if they also have 10 subscribers like you, that the social element is very, very important, especially in a lonely journey. And to really learn about business outside of YouTube. And I think how you grow a YouTube channel is the same as how you grow a business. You have to acquire customers, slowly at first, find out where they are, get involved with them, make sure they see your work. You need to make sure your work is up to scratch to something that they want to watch, and that will take time and learning as well. So it's going to be a long journey, but I think it's incredibly worth it. And yeah, my advice is be consistent, treat it like a business, and learn. Always constantly be learning.
Now this is so Happy Island Kids. That's 8 years of experience in a 3-minute answer. That's absolutely fantastic. So we have another question from the World Wide Web. What other personalities are buried under there waiting to come out?
Oh, I do have a personality, and you may have seen her. Her name is Wengie. She appears in some videos of mine, but that's like the boy inside of me. I was a tomboy growing up, and I can be very much a troll boy gamer inside. Not many people get to see that. When I play League of Legends, some people get to see that, but that's very much a hidden personality I have not yet brought out to the world.
I'm going to Google troll boy gamer after this. And then another question from our viewers. Did you have a favorite alter ego character growing up?
Oh, a favorite alter ego. I grew up on Sailor Moon, and she very much has like an alter ego at night where she fights, monsters and creatures. I think she was my favorite. Because during the day, she was such a klutz and, so unassuming. But at night, she's like the savior of the world. I was obsessed with that.
That's amazing. So keep the questions coming in. We're going to talk a little bit about, you're talking about, and as ever, I'm writing lots of notes. So if you see me looking down, I am working. You were talking about, and we mentioned this at the start of the conversation as well, that you are the CEO of a business. And a lot of businesses, a lot of creative businesses within that ecosystem, brands, advertisers, sponsors, endorsements, and what have you, play a major role. How important is working with brands to any of your 3 personas? And are you working with any at the moment?
Yeah, so brands are obviously a very important part of the creator business economy. I like to tell people that if you're working online in a digital environment, it's really good to think about multiple streams of income, because the reality is the income streams are very unpredictable. And, you know, one thing might blow up for a few months, but then it won't. And then something else will blow up. So it's really important, if you are planning to be a creator, is to create different streams of income. This could include affiliate marketing. It could include AdSense revenue from your YouTube videos. And another huge part is brand deals. And some creators rely solely on brand deals as well to keep their business going. For myself, we don't rely completely on brand deals, but I do love working with brands, and especially if I feel like I can add something to the conversation or do something that both satisfies my audience and brands. So when I work with brands, the most important thing is that we're aligned creatively. I would pitch a custom creative to them and make sure that, you know, we're aligned on that. So I do enjoy working with brands in that creative process to bring out their voice and their concept in a way that's very uniquely either Wengie or WRAYA or KittyCorn, because I think it's really important to have an authentic voice for the viewers to really understand and want to receive the branding message. In terms of brands I'm working with right now, I'm working with Triller, I'm working with Razer. Thank you. I actually modeled these earphones on their website, which is really fun. I've worked with Google recently as well. I love Google, obviously. Complete Google ambassador. And I also have worked with Cheerios lately. So these are all really great brands that I love, consumer brands. So I'm constantly looking to work with more brands as well, especially ones that I'm already using in my everyday life, or perhaps brands I haven't yet discovered but have a great product. I'm open to brand deals, but most importantly, I think, is that we're aligned creatively, that we were willing to treat our audience in the same way. I think that's most important to me.
So authenticity is very important to you. Would you take, this is probably a very unfair question, would you take on a brand that you didn't like?
No, we've turned down a lot of brand deals if we've disagreed on either creative or direction, because at the end of the day, my audience is going to be the most important thing to me, as opposed to the brand deals. And I've managed to structure my business in a way where I don't have to completely rely on brand deals, just so I don't, you know, I can take care of my audience, because that's the long-term play for a creator.
Okay, so the reverse of that, the flip side of that question is, who would you like, if you could, which brands would you love to work with?
Oh, so many brands. I use a lot of brands in my everyday life. So, I mean, I wear a lot of Dior products, and I've worked with Dior before, but I would love to continue working with Dior. I love a lot of fashion brands. I love Shein. I love Colgate as well. I use their toothpaste in all my videos. I'm not sure if you realize. Of course, I'm still a huge fan of Razer, Triller, and, you know, I eat Cheerios once in a while. And oh, you know what? The Chips Ahoy cookies are kind of my favorite to eat when I'm like feeling indulgent, and I've worked with them before. So, but there are a lot of brands that I use that, if you just watch my videos, they appear in, and I would love to work with them. If you want to come find me, I'm here.
I mean, it's a wonderful answer. And this is quite a big question, but if for brands that are watching, you know, let's say Dior's CMO is probably is watching today. Let's face it. But you know, if a CMO is watching, a chief marketing person is watching this, how should brands be thinking about working with a creator? Should they be giving you a storyboard and the product, and then you read it out to camera? What's the best way to get that relationship with a creator like yourself?
I think for me, I like having the creative freedom. Like I said, the most important thing when working in a brand is to have the creative freedom to show the brand in a way that we're comfortable with and our audience is comfortable with. So I would like a more collaborative process with the brand. Of course, they can give us the talking points that they need, because that gives a creator direction. I think it's very much, I need your overall goals and directions, and I can fill in the how. So that's kind of how I like to work with brands. But I definitely do need a goal, because again, I want to know that I've achieved what the brand wants me to achieve, and I want to work towards that. But definitely want more creative control on the how. And it's awesome if we could have someone to talk to and throw ideas with before we jump into the process of creating the content. But that's also unnecessarily if they like to give us creative freedom. So there's, I've worked with brands in multiple ways, but I think it's just in a way that both people are happy. Pretty flexible.
Great answer. Now we've had another question from outside. If you wanted to collaborate with another K-pop artist, who will it be? P.S. Love you, WRAYA, and that's love WRAYAlicious.
Hi, WRAYAlicious. Oh, you know what? I have so many K-pop artists I would love to collaborate with. But you know what? I would love to collaborate maybe with Rosé from Blackpink because she's also Australian. So I've loved her songs. So that would be really cool. But I mean, I won't say no to BTS. Like I always say, BTS, call me.
Surely they have your number. Oh, we'll have a word. We'll have a word.
Okay. All right.
So by the end of this, you'll be in a video with BTS. You'll have Dior as a sponsor. We'll be working with Colgate. You know, all these wonderful brands. It's just going to happen after this interview. Let's look at the future. We've got a few minutes left to go. And look, if there are any more questions out there, we've got a little bit more time. But I'd like to just finish on the future and what's in store, because like I said, we spoke with you 7 months ago, and so much has changed already. So what's exciting you now, and what are we going to be talking about at the end of this year? What's really exciting for Wendy, for Wengie, for WRAYA, for KittyCornWengie? And the reason I'm looking away is I've got two very hungry cats about to maybe come on camera. But yeah, what's exciting? What's up next?
Oh, the next 6 months are going to be pretty, I guess, important to me. So one of the major projects I'm releasing in the next 6 months is my first EP is WRAYA. So that's really exciting. We have 6 songs already done. I just received my masters and I'm loving the new sound. So we went with a completely new sound with WRAYA. We have some really interesting tracks on it. So my next 6 months is going to be completely focused on supporting that project and pushing that project through. And I think everyone's going to really love the music that we've created. It's going to be 10 times better than what you've seen on Wengie Music. And I've already gotten really great feedback on our first single, Bitter. I think what we really want to achieve with WRAYA is you want to listen to the music without knowing who I am. Like, if I can reach that goal with WRAYA, that is what we wanted to achieve with the project. So we have our team working on that. That's going to be really exciting in the next 6 months. So we have like a single, pretty much almost every single month going forward. With Wengie is taking a little bit of a backseat, I feel like, in the next 6 months, because she was like the main character for the past 8 years. You know, it was always Wengie. Wengie has gotten all the attention. So Wengie is going to take a bit of the backseat and maybe have a look at maybe establishing new content types. We want to age up the content a little bit for Wengie as well, and maybe bring people into her life a little bit more to know her a little bit better. Because prior to that, we've done a lot of very fun but very like impersonal kind of content. So we may go a little bit more personal with Wengie, so that's fun. KittyCornWengie is going to hopefully finish the development of her game in 6 months. The development process has been about a year already, and I think to get it to a point where we're like happy with it, maybe another 6 months to a year. So this is going to be a big undertaking for us. We're in beta stage, but there's so much more we want to add to the game. So KittyCornWengie is going to be working on that in the next 6 months. So hopefully in 6 months we can launch the full version of the game, which will be exciting. And so I think, you know, if we sit together in 7 months' time, a lot would have changed.
That's absolutely superb. Now, we've had, for the first time, I think it's the first time someone's actually sent a thank you. So we've had love message for WRAYA. I love the badass WRAYA. Am I allowed to say that? I love the badass WRAYA side of you. No matter what, I will always support you. Love you. I will always be Rayicious forever. Love Rayicious.
Oh,
So
thank you.
there's a first on VidCon now. A thank you love letter. Another question we've had from now apparently Rayicious is Sakshi from India. So Sakshi, thank you for your question and thank you for your follow-up as well. From Johnny, have you experienced a creative block when creating content? And if so, how do you get past it?
Well, first of all, I want to do a huge shout out to my supportive, Raylicious fan base. They've supported me through everything. I have them on a DM on my Instagram, and I constantly chat to them when I'm stuck and I'm worried. So thank you guys so much for always being around to support me. Like, my journey would be very different without you and the rest of the fan crew. And regarding creative blocks, that's a very good question, because I want to sit here and pretend that I'm so creative and I come up with ideas all the time, but that is completely untrue. There is, I see a lot of YouTubers as well. I love watching other YouTubers' content because sometimes, like I said, it can be quite lonely. And sometimes you go through something, you're like, am I the only one going through this? But creative block is so common within our community and myself. And I mean, it's just you can't be on your A game all the time. And I've been looking back on the achievements of Wengie throughout these 8 years, and there was like definitely the height of my creativity at one point of Wengie, and that was when my videos were doing really well. I was coming up with fresh ideas all the time, and my channel was growing so quickly. And there was a time where I felt really burnt out, and the past few years have been kind of like that. It's also almost to do with like your identity as well, because when you're very sure of your identity and you're very sure of what content you want to create, I feel like the ideas just come and it just flows and it's so easy. But everyone changes. I'm sure in 8 years time you've changed as well as a person. You go through different experiences and you like different things, and that's when your content becomes kind of blocked. You're like, well, what kind of content do I create now that I've changed as a person? And because with creators, our content is really tied personally to us and our experience, that's when you will get content blocks. So yeah, I get content blocks all the time, but I think it's like I ask people for ideas. I ask people for help. I have a team as well that we work together, and I ask them to come up with ideas. So it's okay to not be the one to always come up with the ideas. I feel like that should be something creators should talk about a little bit more. We shouldn't be always like, we come up with the ideas all the time ourselves, and that's where our worth is. It's not. Our worth is in creating the content, providing the process, making sure it gets out. There's so much to do with running a YouTube channel that's just beyond coming up with ideas. So I do get creative blocks all the time. I ask for help. I ask other people for ideas, but I feel like ultimately it comes down to how well you know yourself at the time and how confident you are with your creative ideas. And that is not stable over time. There's ups and downs, sometimes you feel great and sometimes you don't. So yeah, it happens. And I think the very healthy thing is to find a support network or a process where someone else can help you come up with ideas while you find yourself again.
So we're into the final question. Unfortunately, we're running out a little bit short on time. And I like to ask this to a lot of people, but if you were, now I know that a lot of your audience, as you said, a lot of them are younger, certainly for the Roblox and the Wengie personas. If you were to bump into your 16-year-old self, I know that wasn't that long ago, but if you were to bump into your 16-year-old self, what advice would you give them?
Oh, I mean, I feel like my 16-year-old self was very... Honestly, my 16-year-old self was pretty cool. She chased a lot of things and passions in her spare time. She didn't study so well, though. But I feel like my 16-year-old self was actually pretty cool. I really like her. But my best advice is after 16, when you start growing up and questioning yourself, and you know, society starts telling you who you should be and what you should do, don't listen to them. Like, believe in yourself, listen to your intuition, trust your gut. I feel like I didn't do a lot of that in my early 20s. And I would tell my younger self to really hone in on that, because that's what got me here, you know? So 60-year-old self, trust your gut, listen to yourself, don't be someone that you're not, and don't try and be the person other people tell you you should be.
Oh, fantastic answer. Well, I'd love to keep talking to you forever, but I know that our time is now officially at an end. But as ever, I have been writing notes, and it's been absolutely wonderful talking to you as ever. Thank you so much for making my job extremely easy, Wendy. Look, we just talked to a genuine girl boss. We've spoken to the CEO of Wendy H, or the CEO that is Wendy H. Maybe you should do a Disney and call yourself Wendy Plus, because you really have got such a huge, diverse audience now. We talked about your multiple personalities. We talked about embracing them. We talked about how you employ and work with multiple platforms. We talked about language, talked about China, and how important short forms are becoming in China. You talked about being a business, and this is something that so many people in the creative community don't get. We work with a lot of musicians as well who don't understand this whole idea that if you're in a band, you're also in a business. You talked about different revenue streams, brands, affiliates, working with advertisers and stuff. You talked about authenticity and how important that is, but we also put in a little word for Dior there to get in touch with you at some stage very, very soon. And at the end there, you said that wonderful, wonderful advice of trust yourself. But you also talked about be consistent, get involved, and collaborate. So with that, Wendy H, Wendy Plus, Wengie, WRAYA, KittyCornWengie, it's been so wonderful to talk to all four of you today. Thank you so much for joining us at VidCon Now Asia.
Thanks, Jasper. Always lovely talking to you. Bye.